Richard Marles got a bit on his plate when he meets US Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth in DC this week, notably AUKUS, as we were just commenting. This morning, a leading Washington think tank has urged Anthony Albanese, as well as Donald Trump, to scale back Pillar Two of the AUKUS agreement by pivoting towards more autonomous systems, long-range strike capacity and integrated air defences. What does all that mean? Well, let's bring in Charles Edel now from the Centre of Strategic and International Studies. Good to see you, Charles. Thanks for your time today. So can you just elaborate on Pillar Two, how that could change in your view and what that would mean for the overall project?
Sure, Pete. Thanks very much for having me on. Look, that's one of several suggestions. And on the Pillar Two front, Abe Denmark, my co-author, and I stressed the fact that we think that one of the key lessons that's emerged from 4 years of AUKUS thus far is that Pillar Two is a bit too diffuse, and it needs to concentrate efforts to turn out actual deterrent capabilities quicker. We have 3 recommendations for where the country should be putting their efforts, but it's not to slim down, it's rather to narrow the focus to make sure that we produce more deterrent capabilities quicker. But of course, that's only one of a suite of about 15 recommendations we have in this new report.
So what are the major ones? I mean, if you could simplify it for me, what should be out and what should be in?
Yeah, so Pillar Two, if we're discussing the critical and emerging technologies, has about 8 different lines of effort. Our recommendation is that we slim this down, focus it around what can deliver deterrence quicker, because Pillar Two is, of course, supposed to bridge the gap before we get to those nuclear-powered submarines. So we make a recommendation that all 3 countries should focus on long-range strike, autonomous systems, and integrated missile defense as capabilities are likely to come online quicker and actually send more of a deterrent signal.
Is AUKUS still good? Is it on track, or are you worried that it could be nixed by Elbridge Colby?
Well, first of all, Elbridge Colby is not the decider in this one, although he is obviously running the review. That will be the President of the United States. Am I concerned? No, I'm not. I think that this is a much needed review. And in fact, both the UK and the Australian governments have conducted their own internal reviews. It is only the United States that is not. And one of the key things that we bring up in the report is AUKUS's ambitions are outsized, but there are challenges, some of which we knew at the beginning, some of which have become more clear. So this is an important time to refocus efforts by not just Australia, but the US and the UK as well.
Would your changes shift the costs at all?
They would shift the cost. They would ask for more budgetary support from all 3 countries to make sure that this actually hits success and hits success earlier.
How much more?
It depends what we're doing, but Australia is building a nuclear workforce from scratch, basically. So there does need to be more costs front-loaded into this as opposed to at the back end of AUKUS.
Okay, and what would that do to timelines and timeframes?
Well, the entire point is delivering deterrence sooner rather than later.
Right.
It's not like we have a deterrence problem that materializes in the mid-2030s. We have one that's staring us in our face right now. Right. So the question is, how quickly can this be brought online?
So it would be pay more money, but get it faster.
That's exactly right. For all 3 countries to make sure that Beijing understands that this is developing real deterrent capabilities, not in the 2030s, but in the 2020s.
Okay, this point was raised by the opposition last hour on the program. Should Australia be more proactive when it comes to AUKUS?
I think Australia is being plenty proactive. The reason that the Deputy Prime Minister is in Washington right now is to make sure that it is putting forth the case for this. There's a separate question about funding issues around this, but I think that making sure that all 3 countries are discussing this, not defense bureaucrats, but from the top political level, is something that's incumbent on Australia, but also on the UK and the US as well.
Do you think that there is truth to us having to spend more on defense, getting it to 3.5%, for example? Would that be a factor in America continuing the AUKUS deal?
Look, that's obviously something that the Washington Pentagon is talking about. But this is also something that's being talked about not just in Australia, but across Europe and across the entire Indo-Pacific region, because it's not simply a number, 3.5%. The correct benchmark is, are you spending enough relative to those who do you harm? And the truth of the matter is that Australia, no less the United States and others, have fallen behind on that metric.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. But Charles, thanks for your time this morning. We'll talk to you again.